This is Colin O'Keefe for LXBN TV. In news that's receiving startlingly little attention, a recent report revealed that the Chinese military is now hacking United States companies, not just the U.S. military. Joining me to explain the details of the report and what companies can do to protect themselves from hackers is Eric Packel, attorney with Marshall, Dennehey, Warner, Coleman, and Goggin, and author on their blog, Data Breach Legal Watch. Eric, first off, can you give us the most interesting or alarming points you found in this report? Just how big of an issue is this?
Okay, thank you, Colin. It is a really big issue. One of the alarming trends that you see in this report is how big and the extent and depth of the cyber attack from what is deemed to be from the Chinese military is. It cuts across various industries. There's at least 20 industries identified in the report, anywhere from media to information technology to construction, also healthcare and education. So pretty much whatever type of business that you're in, you may see an attack. Now, this isn't really so different from what many businesses already know. They're already subject to attacks. But what's a little bit alarming about this is if this attack does occur, and number one, the attacks are increasing since 2006 through 2011 and 12, they've seen a huge number of these attacks increase. So you have a large number of attacks. You have attacks across various industries. But one of the other things you really got to be concerned about is if you are subject to one of these attacks, it can be very persistent. It can last on your network for a very long time. The report indicates that when an entity is attacked and they find out the malware has been on there and they do a little forensic investigation, the malware may have been residing on the network for as long as a year or sometimes over 4 years. So when you have something that's on your network that long and it's communicating with servers, let's say in Shanghai in this instance, you may lose a lot of confidential material, a lot of personal information, a lot of protected health information, information regarding your employees, trade secrets, intellectual property. And what's really bad about that is the state regulators and the federal regulators that are enforcing these privacy laws, they're not going to necessarily be concerned or look at it as an excuse that you were attacked by, let's say, the Chinese government as opposed to some kid looking for credit cards or Eastern European criminals. So where that attack comes from is not going to be relevant. What is going to be relevant is what information was exposed. And if you have it's been residing on your network for 3 or 4 years, you may not be precisely aware of exactly what was transferred out of your network. So then in that instance, you're looking at maybe notifying all of your customers, maybe notifying all of your employees that you had a data breach because you have no way of determining exactly what was taken during that time period.
Absolutely. There's a lot at stake and a lot that companies need to be aware of. So second, what can companies do to combat this type of behavior, to protect themselves? As I think you've already alluded to, is this an issue that all companies need to worry about, or is it something for only big corporations?
Well, as I just pointed out, this is really affecting businesses of all types and all sizes. So it doesn't matter whether you're Exxon or whether you're some small provider with one computer somewhere that's on the internet. Any business of any size could be a target here because what the Chinese government appears to be looking for is not military secrets necessarily or some sort of diplomatic secrets. They're looking for just economic expertise. They're looking for to gain an advantage financially over the United States. And this can be any business. And the fact that you may not deal with the Chinese or deal with a company that maybe deals in state secrets is you may be a vendor for another company, or you may provide service for a company, and that company may deal with the Chinese, or that company may have negotiations or trade with the Chinese. Therefore, they may get to your network in order to get to someone else's network. And that's where the real danger lies. Now, what can you do about it? Probably the best thing you can do is educate your employees. A lot of these attacks occur via the mechanism known as spear phishing. Spear phishing is a targeted email attack where it looks like it's legitimate. So let me give you an example. You may have attended a conference with 10 of your colleagues recently. What these attackers may do is they may find a list of the attendees of the conference, and they'll create an email that looks like it's coming from the entity that held the conference. They'll send it to you, and they'll copy, your colleagues who are all at that conference. So it looks legitimate, yet the email will contain a link or an attachment where if it's clicked on, that allows a malware to enter your system. So the best thing you can do is educate your employees to be very careful of clicking on attachments, clicking on links in emails, maybe confirming from the app, calling the person who actually appears to have sent the email to make sure they really sent it if there's any question. In fact, they can make it really look legitimate. One of the examples in the report was an email that appeared to come from a company's CEO to another employee in that company. But if you really looked at the email address, it didn't come from the domain of the company. It came from a free webmail like Google or Hotmail or something like that. So if it seems the email address doesn't seem quite right, even though the name is right, that could be a clue. So really it's about educating your employees, making sure that your IT department or whoever you use to do your IT work is not only looking for threats from without, but also threats from within. And by that I mean, if this malware gets on your network that these attackers are using, it's sending a lot of information out of your network. It's encapsulating data, emails, trade secrets, things like that, sending it through various servers that eventually get to Shanghai, China. So you want to look at what's going out of your network and not just attacks coming into your network.
Absolutely. Again, there's so much that companies need to be aware of because, of course, they're not just going up against your everyday hackers, but really, a first world country's military. Once again, that was Eric Packel of Marshall, Dennehey, Warner, Coleman, and Goggin. For more of his insight on this report and on data breaches in general, be sure to visit databreachlegalwatch.com. And as always, visit our site at lxbn.com for hundreds of these LXBN TV video interviews, along with curated commentary from the LexBlog Network's more than 8,000 members. Thanks for joining me today, Eric.
Thank you, Colin.